Why is heartbreak so physical? Why is it that you don't just feel sad, but you feel as if you've collapsed? Because your brain doesn't see this as a breakup. It sees it as a threat. And here is the interesting part: people all over the world experience this, in almost exactly the same way. But why? Where does the root of this shared experience lie? As modern humans, we often interpret the pain of love as a weakness or a personal problem. I couldn't control my emotions. I attached incorrectly. I'm too sensitive. Yet psychology, especially evolutionary psychology, says something completely different. This pain is not an individual weakness, it is a mechanism left over from the shared past of the human species. According to evolutionary psychology, the brain was shaped not for today's world, but for the environment in which our ancestors lived. Hunter-gatherer conditions, high risk of death, limited resources, and a life dependent on social bonds. The basic infrastructure of the human mind was formed under these conditions. Therefore, the breakup pain you experience today is not a dramatic side effect of modern relationships, it is a result of primitive survival systems, still being active. In early human communities, a romantic bond didn't just mean reproduction. A partner meant resource sharing, collective defense, the protection of children, and the continuation of social status. In other words, a partner was not a romantic option, they were a survival partnership. The breaking of this bond did not just mean the end of a relationship, it meant the collapse of a security system. An individual left alone was more vulnerable. They had access to fewer resources. Their chances of reproduction dropped. For this reason, the human brain evolved to perceive the loss of a romantic bond as an existential threat. The intense pain experienced after a breakup is not an error, it is a warning system. In this situation, the brain sounds an alarm: this loss is important. Pay attention. During this time, activity increases in the regions of the brain associated with reward and motivation. Emotional pain is processed in a way similar to physical pain. Tightness in the chest, loss of appetite, sleep disorders, stomach problems. All of these are part of the biological response the brain gives to a threat. For primitive humans, this process created a strong motivation to win the partner back or re-establish the bond. During attachment, dopamine and oxytocin rise. Upon separation, this system suffers a sudden interruption. Dopamine drops. Cortisol rises. The body enters stress mode. After a while, the resulting picture is strikingly similar to drug withdrawal: intense craving, obsessive thoughts, inability to focus. Because the brain has coded the lost person as a source of reward. While general motivation drops, cues related to the former partner create momentary dopamine spikes. This causes the mind to constantly return to that person. This period is actually an energetic and combative phase. The brain makes a final effort to save the bond. Today, this manifests as the urge to send a text, checking social media, or the thought of, "Let's talk one last time." In the primitive era, the same impulse appeared as physically searching for the partner. The motivation is the same: to regain the bond. However, if this effort yields no results, the system switches to a different mode. Energy drops. Pleasure decreases. The person withdraws into themselves. In the modern world, this period is defined as depression. From an evolutionary perspective, this is a withdrawal strategy. Constantly spending energy on a partner who will not return would pose a vital risk in primitive conditions. Stagnation allowed for the preservation of energy. During this process, the mind constantly analyzes and replays the past. Where did I go wrong? What could I have done differently? In psychology, this is called rumination. Its evolutionary function is this: learn from this experience. Do not repeat the same mistake. But in the modern world, this mechanism often prolongs the pain, instead of producing a solution. If you notice, even if cultures change, the fundamental structure of heartbreak does not change. The language changes. The norms change. But the weight felt in the heart is similar. Because the mechanism is universal. Research shows that full recovery after attachment can take months, or even years. This duration is the process of the system rebalancing itself. The fact that the pain diminishes over time is not about the feeling becoming unimportant, but about the brain reevaluating the threat. New social bonds, new routines, new possibilities. The brain realizes this: I am surviving. The alarm system slowly shuts down. The neural pathways belonging to the former partner weaken. The regions associated with threat perception calm down. Modern humans call this turning over a new leaf. For the primitive human, this was a transition to a new cycle of attachment. In reality, both mean stepping into a new relationship. In conclusion, heartbreak is not a weakness. On the contrary, it is a mechanism that ensured the continuation of humanity. If our ancestors had not attached so intensely, they could have easily left their partners. This would have meant offspring being left unprotected. That intense pain you feel today shows that a system shaped by natural selection is working. Yes, in the modern world, this system sometimes activates more than necessary. But when you understand its origin, it also becomes possible to manage it. Because in psychology, knowledge exists not just for understanding, but for coping. I believe that you, too, can cope with this pain, my dear friend. I am always with you. Thank you for watching the video until the end. To continue discovering the primitive roots of modern psychology, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.